Hello, this is Tudor Ted Gillescu with an exclusive tutorial for ATUTS Plus. This tutorial it's going to deal with water replacement. I'm going to use Freeform Pro in After Effects to create and animate water, and then create a title sequence using Shapeshifter AE and a few other plugins to give it more of a cinematic look. The example you see right now on the screen is pretty much what we're going to get in the end. The end result is not going to be exactly the same, but I just wanted you to see the initial project that I did. And what we're going to do, we're going to have three parts for this tutorial. The first part is going to deal with creating a basic animated displacement map and texture for water using Freeform Pro in After Effects. Then I will show you how to use the Aquapack enhancement pack, one of the projects in there, to do the water replacement. And then the third one will have the title using Shapeshifter AE and a few other plugins to create a more cinematic look. That being said, let's get going. I'm going to show you now the basic principles of creating a displacement map and simple texture in After Effects to use with Freeform Pro to create water. Of course, this is just a basic setup. You can explore more yourselves, or you can purchase the Aquapack enhancement pack for Freeform Pro, where you will find a bunch of presets. They're a lot more complex, and this is actually what I'm going to use later on in this tutorial to do the water replacement with. But first, I just wanted to introduce you to the basics of creating water using Freeform Pro. I have two comps here. One a displacement map comp and my main comp, which is water text. The displacement map is 700 by 700. Water test is just a simple SD PAL widescreen square pixel aspect ratio 25 frames per second comp. The displacement map I'm going to use to obviously create the displacement map that will be used in Freeform Pro to create the water. I have to create a solid layer in here and apply noise and grain, fractal noise, and this is going to be the basic building block for my texture and my displacement. I'm going to use a dynamic fractal noise, a soft linear, inverted, and there's a few things I would like to animate in here, like contrast, under transform, the offset turbulence, and then the evolution. So I'm going to, if I want to do this elegantly, I will create a bunch of controls in my main comp that can access the fractal noise in here, and I can use them to animate them while I preview the final result. So what I'm going to do is in the water test, which is my main comp, create a new layer. It's a new adjustment layer. I'll already call this water controls. And on this layer, I will bring in a point control, angle control, and a color control. And these are the ones I'm going to use to control. I'm going to lock this panel and control the fractal noise. So the first thing I'm going to animate or affect and want to control is the contrast, and I'll link that to my slider. Set up the slider to 100. Then I want under transform to animate the offset of the turbulence, and that will be my point control. Then I will do the evolution and link that to my angle control. Alright, I'm all set here. Then I will bring this displacement map comp into my main comp, the water test comp, and duplicate. I'm going to use this to create my texture. I will pre-compose this. Default contributes open new composition. This new composition, it's already set up to be 700 by 700 pixels. And I will create a new shape layer and fill this with a rectangle with this blue color. And I'll go back to my effects control panel. I still have it locked. I will choose this color as well here, and then link this to the color control. Now the only thing I have to do is change this to multiply, and I have almost everything that I need. One more thing, I brought in an image of the sky, I'll pre-compose that as well. Leave all attributes, open new composition. This I'm going to use for a reflection. Composition settings, I'm going to call this reflection map and make it 700 by 700. Okay, change my image to fit in these new dimensions. I'm going to squeeze it in here, and I'll create a camera in here, and I'm going to call this displacement map comp, the prep comp. Actually, I'm going to call this water texture. I'm going to hide the displacement map and the reflection map. On the water texture, I will apply Metal Freeform Pro. Use for displacement mapping my displacement map, reflection mapping, my reflection map. The render quality, I'll set this to low, and the anti-aliasing, I made sure that the adaptive tessellation is on. And I will use the 3D transform controls here to rotate this on the x-axis minus 90 degrees. Now I can go ahead and position my camera to show you what's going on. There we go. This is our water. I'm going to go on my water controls, set up keyframes in here, go to my last frame, animate the flow of the water, and I'll even call this water flow. Then with my angle control, I'm going to animate the speed of the waves. So I'll just call it wave speed, and then the slider control is going to animate my wave height. So I'm going to call this wave height, and you will see how it affects the waves. There we go. I'll just leave this pretty much as it is. So now I do have this nice animated texture with waves that flows into one direction, and it's got a nice movement to it, and this color will also affect the look of my water. If I go under water texture and go to my freeform controls, the material properties, if I bring down the reflectivity, you will see how the color of the water starts to come through. Basically, the color that you see here when reflectivity is 100, it's given by my reflection map, the sky, and the more I go down, the more of the color of the water texture comes through. So combining these two, I can get some really interesting results. And this is it. This is the basic way of creating a displacement map and a simple texture to use Freeform Pro to create water in After Effects. Alright, this next part of the tutorial, I will show you how to use one of the projects from the Aquapack Enhancement Pack for Freeform Pro to do water replacement. You will see the project is a lot more complex than the stuff I showed you in the first part. It's enabling you to be a lot more creative. This project, the particular one that I'm going to use, is called Ocean Large. It's the version 2 for CS5.5 since I'm using CS5.5. And when you open the project, this is what you will see. You'll have basically the Ocean Large comp, a folder with stills to replace, and stuff that's under the hood, other comps that are within this project. In the timeline, you'll see a cam control that has a nice rig control panel for the camera, and a water control. That, as you can see, it's a lot more complex than the one we built in the previous example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a theme. Let's say I want to create titles for a documentary called The Norwegian Fjords. I live in Norway, so there you go. What I don't have is I don't have the funds to send a camera crew out there on a boat to shoot the fjords and get some really nice shots of the fjord that can be the background for my title sequence. So what I did is I sent my photographer up on a bridge. He shot a bunch of stills of the fjords and put them together, create a nice panorama, and now I have to make that come to life. I can obviously just do a camera pan in After Effects over the image, but I want to do a little more than that. I want to replace the water in the shots and animate the water and animate that in a three-dimensional space, so when I create a camera move in After Effects, I'll have the impression that actually the fjord has been shot from the water, from a boat, and it looks majestic. So that's my project. Now, how am I going to achieve this? Obviously using Freeform Pro and the Aquapack enhancement pack. I will bring in this project. I opened this project, and I will bring in the image of the fjord panorama, which I already created. I will bring this as a comp. I'm going to open this comp so you can see the image. It's a nice panorama, and I already did some work previously in Photoshop. You can cut the mask obviously in After Effects as well, but I went ahead in Photoshop. I created a nice mask for the top of the image, cutting the water out. The more detailed you can be in cutting your mask, the better. As you can see, I still have little spots of water, but they're far away. Nobody's going to see they're not moving, and actually I'm going to need those for the water replacement to match the way the water looks in the distance. This will give me a good reference. So I'm going to grab this layer and paste it in my Ocean Large composition. I'm going to turn it off for now since I don't need it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this. I need probably, let's say, 10 seconds for my shot. So I'm going to be happy with 10 seconds. And I'm going to set the preview to half. There we go. And right now there's a camera animation that comes with the project, but I don't need that. I want to set my own animation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate all the keyframes here. Just going to reset these, and I'm going to set up my camera to be able to show you how this project looks like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first eliminate any rotation in the tilt. I'm going to raise the camera on the y-axis to -121, and I'm going to go back in z-space to -4015. These are just numbers I came up with previously playing around with the project. So now, as you can see, I do have a limited amount of water to work with. What I could do is rotate the plane of the water, and this way I'll get more width to the water plane. On using Generator and Freeform Pro, I can extend that as much as I want to, but what I will not have is depth to the water, and in this case I need the water to have depth because the mountains of the fjord is far away, so I need to simulate that in my project. So I'm going to use the project this way. Of course I could duplicate the layer that has Freeform Pro, and that would allow me to extend my water, but I don't really need to do that. So I'm going to set up the camera. Y, again, I'll bring it back to -121. And in Z is -4014. And then I will also play with the zoom. I'm going to set up the zoom at 6442. That's it for now. I'll later animate the X to create my camera move. what I need to do now is make my Fjord Mountains layer 3D. I'm going to bring that where I can see the controls on the layer, and I will send that back in space. On the z-axis I'll go to 20,000. Then what I would like to do is set up the anchor point lower, so I will move that to be at the bottom of the mountain, and then I'll bring the image down to about 700 on the y-axis, and I'll change the position on the x to 1296. I will change also the scale to 120. I will set now the x position on my camera rig to minus 1192, which brings me to about the edge of my image. And then I'll go down to 10 seconds, set another keyframe to the opposite 1192, a positive value. So right now the camera travels from left to right. That's pretty much it as far as positioning. Now I'm going to tweak the way the water looks. In order to do that, I will access my water controls. Before I start playing, I actually want to do one more thing. In the project window, if you look in the folder under the hood, you will see that there's a comp called Reflection Map. If you double click on that, you will discover that this contains the sky tile that I used before when I gave you the example of how to build a simple displacement map in the water texture. You can replace this obviously with whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to replace it with my image, the image that I used. I brought it in. I'm going to resize it and just squeeze it to fit this comp, just about so the mountains will be right at the bottom. Now once I've done that, I can go ahead and access my water controls and start playing with the reflection here. I'm going to do several things. I'm going to access the water reflectivity, and I'm going to set that up to about 74 just to get more of the reflection in the water. And then the reflection shadow intensity, I'll bring that up to about 94, so almost all the way to the end, because I want a lot more contrast in the water. The water in the fjords is a little darker, it has more contrast. And the reflection contrast, I'll boost that up to 78, 80 maybe. That looks pretty good. Also the ambient light, I'll bring that down to darken the water to about, I don't know, 50 something, 52, 53. And that looks good to me. I kind of like the way everything is set up. As far as the waves evolution, the wind speed, the subwave evolution, the low and high point for the waves. So I'm not going to touch that. What I will do is affect the way the water looks in the distance, and for that I need an adjustment layer, which I am going to use to give the impression of perspective and how the texture of the water and the color of the water changes as the water goes further away from the camera. So I'm going to create this adjustment layer. I'll call this water perspective adjustment, and I'll put this right above the water controls layer. I will create a mask, just a simple rectangular mask about this high. Set that up to subtract and feather that to about 140. Actually only on the Y, I don't need that on the X. Then what I'll do is I'll add a blur, just a simple fast blur, and I need that to be about 7 repeat edge pixels. And then, as you can see, the detail in the water starts to fade away the farther the water goes from the camera. And what I'll need to do also is, and here is where the water that I left in the image, the little patches of water in between the islands here, come in handy, because I can match the color of the water as it goes farther away from the camera with the water that's in the original image. So what I'll do for this is just add a bit of color correction using levels, and I'll move this somewhere in here where I kind of have the same blue in the water. What I'm going to do also is affect these controls. As you can see, you have a little note in the parentheses here. Should never be 0, so just make sure if you play with these, never take them down to 0. I'm going to decrease the amplitude of the movement here, because this is being a fjord. I don't want a lot of movement like it would be in an ocean here. So I'm just going to make this a little less, and just bring these about 12, 13, and 9 or 10 here. One thing, if you look here, you'll notice that the water actually ends, and you can see a little hole. This is something you wouldn't notice if it wasn't moving just from the first frame. So how we can fix that, it's fairly easy. Just go to here where you can see as the water moves up and down, you can see the hole clearly, and you go to extend water, and you generate more instances of the water. Just go up to 16 or even 20 to be sure, and that should do it. So this should give me a little idea of how everything is going to look in the end. I'm satisfied with it. The next part of the tutorial, I'll just show you how you can add more of a cinematic look and feel. Alright, so now on to creating an interesting look. I'm going to first do the title, the actual title, animate that in somehow, and then create a more cinematic look to the whole shot. What I did, I already replaced with a pre-render, the water replacement. I'm going to hide these layers that I'm not using. So all I have is my water replacement base and the camera with the camera rig that I've used. And I will create a new layer of text using Lithos Pro. Alright, the Norwegian Fjord. Here's my text. Make this a little smaller. I'm going to play with this, arrange this a little bit. Alright, so this is pretty much the way I like it. I know that I would like at 8 seconds my title to be centered. So just going to choose this as a reference frame here. What I want to do is I want my title to start animating in at about 3 seconds, and then be reach the end of the animation in at about 5 seconds. So I'm just going to go around 3 seconds here. I want to choose one of the animation presets that comes in After Effects for text. Text in, animate in. I'm going to use the raining in characters preset. There we go. And this is kind of how my animation looks. Alright, and it ends up at about 5 seconds, which is great. So, and I want to make sure that at 8 seconds my title is centered. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to 8 seconds, and I'm going to apply Shapeshifter to my title. Now, of course, my title is a little offset. I'm going to go into Shapeshifter and change the position using the 3D transform inside Shapeshifter. I'm going to position this on the x-axis at 650 and on the y-axis at -150. Then what I will do is I am going to create some keyframes because I want to animate this. So around 5 seconds, I'm going to make sure that thickness has a keyframe. I'm going to add a keyframe to the contour, the pre-blur in the contour, and also at the displacement mapping I'll put a value of 1 here. That gives me a nice bevel. You can't really see it now because I don't have any lights in, so you cannot see the three-dimensionality of the letters, but I'll just set a keyframe here. And I'm also going to use deformations, and I'm going to set a key on the amplitude of my twist right here at 0%. Now it's time to add some lights in. I'm going to add a spotlight, a little golden yellow color. There we go. This is it for now. I'm going to adjust that a little later on to fit my needs. But for now, I'm going to duplicate this and set up, just rotate this, move this back, and set it up so that'll give me a nice highlight on the side of the letter from behind. Alright, I'll leave this at 100%, and I'm going to change the intensity of the light for now at about 50%. There we go. I have a nice highlight coming from behind on the side of the letters, and everything looks good so far. Now I can play a little more with my animation. I want this now, it's interesting the way it comes in right now, but I want this to look even better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in at 3 seconds, and I'm going to create an animation of the thickness from 1 to 40. Then I'm going to displace this here at let's see, about 61, and give it a pre-blur of 33. What that's going to do, as you will see in a minute here, is just going to give me this organic look as the letters come in. Also, what I want to do is animate the twist, as I told you, under deformation in Shapeshifter. But in order to do that, I need to set up my deformation box. So I'm going to display the deformation region, and I'm going to move it on the X to 800, and I'm going to change the size of it on the Y-axis to 800, and on the Z and X I'm going to leave it exactly the way it is. Now I can go back to 3 seconds in, 3 seconds in 1 frame to be more precise, and just bring up the twist to 100%. What this will do, you're going to see here in a minute, I just get this interesting rotation, and the text twists in, and I have also this organic looking shape that morphs into my text. Alright, I like this animation. Turn off the display region. So this is, I'm pretty happy with the way this title looks. I'm just going to work on the final look of my title, make it more cinematic. So I'll just add a new adjustment layer. And on this adjustment layer, there's many ways you can do this. I'm just going to show you how I did it using some presets. Magic Bullet Books. I chose a preset called Romance. I'm thinking that my title looks a little bright here in the middle, so I'm just going to change the intensity of this light to 40. I'm going to add on this adjustment layer again. I'm going to add a vignette. We're using Magic Bullet Misfire. And this vignette, I'll make it 64.4 as in size, and then intensity of 39. And then I'll also add Magic Bullet frames, a letterboxer with a presets, the anamorphic preset. And I like this look. And I hope this tutorial has been helpful for you, and that you're going to use these techniques to create a lot of interesting projects. You can create obviously your own water textures using Freeform Pro, or you can also choose to purchase the Aquapack Enhancement Pack, and you have a bunch of presets there that will allow you to be more creative maybe, and just have a lot more time doing more complex shots and not worry about the water, since that's already done in those presets. Thanks for watching.